Hi again then guys, and so I did not expect to be putting out a video like this today, and hopefully if my expectations are correct then we may well see the fruits of this video and of this new teaser trailer tomorrow morning potentially, because this is the long awaited and much anticipated August update for GT Sport, the 1.25 patch. Some were wondering if there would even be one. Of course, last month we had a great campaign for releasing the new content. This month, for whatever reason, it's been much more quiet. Right now we have the new teaser trailer out, and I'm really happy about the cars that are being added this time. I don't adore all of them, but it's a very good selection. All but one of them are very recent returning faces, and the new cars that are coming to the game are very varied as well. Some of them I absolutely love, and quite a few of these are actually cars that I have predicted would probably come back to the franchise because they're just such fan favourites, highly collectible, highly useful. For me, by far the biggest standout of this pack is going to be the Shelby Daytona Cobra. I adore the Daytona Cobra. It's possibly my favourite classic racing car design, purely from a visual point of view, and it was one of my favourite classics in Gran Turismo 6. Now, of course, once again, it's bound to be expensive, around $4.5 million probably at least, if not more now, so that is definitely the car that I'm looking forward to the most. But we also have a couple which I guarantee are going to be hugely popular with the community. The Amuse Honda S2000 GT1 is, of course, not only a car which was already hugely popular anyway in the past of the franchise, was already available as a premium as well with the detailed interior, but even more so now I think it's going to be popular because, of course, we don't have any other Honda S2000s in the game. So that'll be the first time that this has ever happened, where we've had an aftermarket Honda S2000, but no regular versions from Honda themselves. So that's going to be pretty cool as well. I have no doubt that that's going to be hugely popular, maybe even the most popular car of the pack. We've got a couple which are bound to be very expensive. Of course, the standout being the Ford Mark IV. Expect it to be 20 million easily. Of course, it's not going to be more, but I would highly doubt that it would be any less given its rivals. And of course, the kind of oddball, but I always loved it myself, the Abarth by Posto Bertoni, the BAT one from 1952. It was about 3.5 million credits on Gran Turismo 6. You didn't see a huge amount of people using it. For me personally, I loved using it quite a bit, but it wasn't that useful for racing. It was fairly slow, but a lot of fun. The only car in the game that could have a single headlight if you changed the light configuration. So it's got the oddball factor. Plus it's a classic, it's highly collectible. Probably will be the least used and least purchased car of the pack. Probably, at least. Then, of course, we have the one which I mentioned, the Daytona Cobra. I love it. Can't wait to see what it's like in the game. It was already good in GT6 with the detailed interior, etc. So I'm really looking forward to that one. I hope it rasps quite a bit. And then as far as the rest of the pack, we've got a couple which most people probably won't care about too much. In particular, the Abarth Fiat 500. It's a good hatchback, but probably not going to be a fan favourite for most people. I'm sure it has its fans. It's a good little hatchback, but compared to the rest of the cars here, it's definitely the odd one out. And the second car, which I just mentioned would probably be slightly less popular, is the Beetle, the classic Beetle. Again, I believe I specifically said that I thought this car would come back. It might have even been in my predictions episode of Beards and Cars, where I listed a ton of vehicles that I think are going to return, quite a few of which have proven to be true, and I'm pretty sure this was one of them. The classic Beetle already looked great in GT6 in terms of its quality. It's an icon. Why wouldn't you bring it back, especially now that they've set the precedent, of course, of the Samba bus returning. So why wouldn't you have this one return as well? And then another one which I'm looking forward to quite a bit, actually, one of my favourite hot hatches of all time, probably my favourite classic hot hatch, the Delta. The Lancia Delta. It's going to be so cool to have Lancia back in the game, and what better way to bring them back than with the Delta? The Stratos is an icon, but it's not particularly beginner friendly, so you want as many people as possible to be able to enjoy the car, and the Delta is the best way to do that. Super beginner friendly, very forgiving, tons of grip, and it could well end up being a really, really good N200 car. And last but definitely not least, I'm leaving the car which is the most significant in terms of returning to the game, because you might think that this is just a premium update of the Mini that was in Gran Turismo 6. But it's not, because that Mini has, amongst other things, the wide arch kit, which this one doesn't have, but that's actually the BMW recreation of the Mini from 1998. This is not. This is the actual classic Mini Cooper S from 1965. And it's of course going to be fully detailed with that interior. So although it's not going to be the most useful thing around for racing, doubtless N100 of course, with around 60 horsepower, it's going to be pretty cool to have a genuinely new car to the game. After having so many returning faces, albeit updated ones, this is something completely fresh and new, and although many people might not appreciate that, I do. For one, and I'm sure many of you guys as well, especially classic fans, it's pretty cool to have a true classic Mini back, because honestly, we have not had a real classic Mini since Gran Turismo 2, so this is a significant return for that kind of branding. So overall, of course, as far as the cars go, it's looking great, and we have a returning track, the Red Bull Ring. Personally, I never loved that track. It's a little bit too short to me. I like longer circuits. But it's a very popular one, very fast track, very competitive, and it's perfect for some of the cars in this pack, especially the smaller ones. So doubtless, again, that's going to be hugely popular, as any new track is. It gets a ton of mileage straight away. And as far as the date of the update, we can't say for sure, but I would suspect probably tomorrow morning, so Wednesday morning at the time of releasing this video. And we'll have to also see how this update affects current things in the game. Of course, we've covered on the channel about stuff like the idle sound of the Mazda 787B. Will they address that? I'm thinking probably not, but will they? And probably more pressingly, will they address the speed glitch, which I covered for the Formula One Mercedes, which is incredibly fun, but glitches don't really last very long now because of the online racing community. It's kind of a shame. It's why cheat codes have gone away as well. It's unfortunate, but I wouldn't be surprised if they've patched that as well. But overall, it's looking like a really good pack. I'm actually very pleased with the majority of the cars in this one, and even the ones that I'm not, I don't dislike. They're just not necessarily my kind of car. So, of course, stick around on the channel. I'm going to do tuning and reviews and probably rivals matches as well for a number of the cars coming, and, of course, stick around for that. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.